Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going deep, and I mean deep, into the world of Audrey Lef.
Audrey Lef.
Yeah, a French makeup artist, but not just any makeup artist.
Oh,
This woman has worked with presidents, prime ministers. We're talking some of the most powerful people on the planet.
wow. Okay, I'm intrigued. Where did you hear about her?
Well, a listener actually sent us this amazing interview they found. It was on, get this, a French YouTube channel called Legend.
Legend, huh? Fitting, I guess, if she's working with folks like that.
Right. And honestly, her story, it's just so captivating. It's not just about makeup, it's about power, it's about privilege, and it's a look behind the curtain at what these larger than life figures are really like when the cameras are off.
I can already tell this is going to be good. So, where do we even begin with a story like this? Was she, like, born into this world of elites or something?
Oh, not at all. Her path, it was anything but straightforward. She started out, get this, as a singer and dancer in Paris, did some modeling too, even followed her husband, who was an Olympic athlete, to Australia for a while.
Wow, talk about a varied background. So how did she even get into makeup?
Well, she always had this idea in the back of her mind. Apparently, years ago in Paris, she had this chance meeting with a makeup artist who completely transformed her look for a photo shoot, and it just kind of stuck with her.
Ah, I get it. That moment where you see yourself in a whole new light. But she didn't jump right into it, did she?
No, not right away. It wasn't until 2013 when she moved to the US that she actually took the leap and decided to, really go for it.
Big move, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Starting a new career in a new country, that takes guts.
Oh, absolutely. And get this, when she first arrived, her English wasn't great. She was even using her 7-year-old son as a translator.
No way. That's both adorable and impressive, relying on your kid to navigate a new country. Talk about resourceful mama.
She's definitely got that entrepreneurial spirit. So she starts learning English, persevering, and she lands this gig with a company called Vlux.
Vlux, what's that?
They basically offer on-demand makeup and hair services, kind of like Uber, but for beauty.
Oh, interesting. So she's already working with, I'm guessing, some pretty high-end clients at this point.
You'd think so, right? But Audrey, she's ambitious, always pushing for more. So what does she do? She literally Googles makeup app, but bigger.
She what? That's amazing. That's so Audrey.
That is so Audrey, right? And that's how she finds Glam Squad.
Glam Squad rings a bell. They're like pretty big, right?
Huge, already established in major cities, and get this, about to expand to Washington, D.C., of all places. Talk about perfect timing.
Whoa, okay, the plot thickens. What does this have to do with presidents and prime ministers?
Well, Glam Squad, they were looking for makeup artists and hairstylists for a very, very special event, Donald Trump's inauguration.
No way. The 45th president of the United States.
The one and only. So here she is, this French makeup artist who not so long ago was relying on her son to translate, and now she's got a shot at working on the presidential family.
That's a wild turn of events. But I imagine getting that gig, it was no walk in the park, right?
Absolutely not. Rigorous testing, different makeup styles from natural to full-on glam. She even had to work with, as she described them, completely bizarre colors.
Yeah, they really put her through the ringer. Makes sense, though, for clients at that level.
High stakes, for sure. So 2 days before the inauguration, Audrey gets her assignment.
The big reveal. Who'd she get?
They give her an address, tell her to pass security, and ask for a specific person. No names, no details, just an address.
Ooh, mysterious. I'd be freaking out trying to figure out what I was walking into.
Right. But not Audrey. She just goes with it.
That's some serious trust, or maybe just nerves of steel. So where did this mysterious address lead her?
Well, she arrives, goes through security, and who does she see pulling up in 2 black SUVs? Donald and Melania Trump.
Shut the front door. She's face-to-face with the future president and first lady.
Yep. And get this, she even describes them as waving very gently, which, is not exactly the image we usually get from the media.
Interesting. Already breaking down some preconceived notions. So what happens next? Does she, whisk them away to a secret makeup bunker?
Not quite. She's escorted into the Blair House, the place where the president hosts dignitaries.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it.
And suddenly, she's in a room with the entire Trump family. Daughters, sons, daughters-in-law, the whole gang.
Whoa. Talk about being thrown into the deep end. What was that like?
She described it as, a bit surreal. She even saw Donald Trump Jr. just lounging on a bed, casually eating popcorn while watching his dad get criticized on CNN.
That's such a bizarre image. Popcorn and political commentary, what a combo.
Ugh.
What was the overall vibe like? Was it tense?
Surprisingly, no. She asked Donald Jr. if he was stressed about the inauguration, and he just kind of shrugged it off. Said,
Yeah.
after 2 years of campaigning, I just have to stand up straight and smile.
Huh. Almost like a switch had flipped. Campaign's over, they won, now it's showtime.
Exactly. And it wasn't just him. She described Ivanka and Lara Trump as being just as driven and focused, like the whole family was operating on a different level.
Fascinating. It's like this intense, almost laser focus on achieving their goals. It's like a defining characteristic of the Trump family.
Right. And it really made an impression on Audrey. She even said it was impressive to see how determined they were. Like she was genuinely struck by their, I don't know, their single-mindedness.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think. Does power amplify those personality traits, or does it attract those kinds of personalities in the first place? It's a chicken or the egg kind of question.
Totally. So the first day ends. Audrey thinks her Glam Squad gig is over, mission accomplished.
She's done the Trump family. What more could there be?
Well, the next morning, she gets a call. Back to the White House.
Hold on, wait a minute. This is just the beginning.
Oh, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So picture this. 6 a.m., bright and early, at the White House.
Wow, talk about an early bird. I bet the coffee was strong that morning.
I would hope so. But it wasn't just the caffeine keeping her going. She had to wait for hours, going through layers of security, background checks, the whole 9 yards.
Makes sense. You don't just waltz into the White House, especially not in this day and age.
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the glamour, but I imagine it's a whole different experience when you're actually there. The constant security presence, always feeling like you're being watched.
I could see how that would be a bit unnerving. So where did they take her once she finally made it past all the security checkpoints?
Well, first, they led her through the White House gardens.
Oh, wow, the gardens. I bet those are stunning.
I can only imagine. And get this, she walked right past the crowds who were gathering for the inauguration parade.
So close to all the action, yet in this little bubble of, I don't know, secrecy.
Exactly. And then, through a secret little door, her words, not mine, she was inside the White House.
A secret door. See, this is what I love about Audrey's story. It's like a glimpse into this hidden world that we never get to see.
Right. And inside, she meets the White House governor who's in charge of all the household staff. And apparently they were about to get a private tour of the White House, but
Don't leave me hanging.
it got cut short. The Trump family was arriving. Time to get down to business.
Okay, so who's her first client? Melania.
Actually, it was Vanessa Trump, Donald Jr.'s wife at the time.
Oh, right.
Ah.
I wonder if she requested Audrey specifically.
Who knows? But Audrey did say she was very nice and really appreciative of her work.
It's always refreshing to hear about, genuine kindness, especially in those circles. It's easy to forget these powerful figures are just regular people sometimes, too.
Totally. And it's funny because over the next 3 days, Audrey is working on various members of the Trump family, surrounded by Secret Service, assistants, all the chaos of the inauguration.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So what was her overall impression of them? Did they live up to the hype?
Well, there's one thing she said that really stuck with me. She described the Trumps as being on a mission.
On a mission.
Huh?
That's interesting. It definitely suggests a certain level of, I don't know, determination. Maybe even a little bit of ruthlessness.
Yeah, it's like they were operating on a different frequency than everyone else. And that laser focus, that drive to succeed, it wasn't just Donald Trump. She noticed it in Ivanka and Lara as well.
Huh. It really makes you wonder how much of that is nature versus nurture, Are they like that because of the power they hold? Or were they always that way?
It's a great question, right? And here's the thing. Amidst all that determination and power, Audrey also noticed a certain fragility.
Fragility. Really?
Yeah, she said there was this insecurity almost that seemed at odds with their outward projection of confidence.
Interesting. It's like behind the masks of power, they're still human with all the complexities that come with that.
Exactly. She even tells the story about Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton, wait, she worked with Bill Clinton too.
Oh, yeah, he popped up. And apparently he was a bit, on edge.
I can imagine. Being in the public eye like that, it can't be easy.
Right. And Audrey, she just calmly reassured him, said, "Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. We've got this." Can you believe that? Reassuring a former president of the United States.
That's amazing. It really shows you that even these powerful figures, they have moments of vulnerability, just like anyone else?
Right. It's that human element that Audrey seems to pick up on, So after 3 crazy days of inauguration madness, working with the Trump family, you'd think that would be it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty epic gig to check off the bucket list. What more could there be?
Well, a few months later, she gets another call from Glam Squad.
Oh, here we go again. Another VIP, I'm guessing.
You bet. But they're being super secretive about who it is.
Mysterious. Lay it on me. Who was it?
She arrives at the Democrats building, asks for her client, and everyone just goes silent.
Oh, this is good. This is good. I'm on the edge of my seat. Who was it?
Turns out she's about to meet the Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Wow, talk about a plot twist. She goes from the Trumps to Joe Biden.
It's wild, isn't it? From one side of the political spectrum to the other.
And what was he like? Was he as, charming as everyone says?
She said he was very charismatic, with a really warm presence. And get this, she was still studying for her U.S. citizenship exam at the time.
Oh, right, right. I remember that from the interview.
And she was struggling with the whole, senators versus congressmen thing.
That's understandable. The American political system can be pretty confusing, even for Americans.
So what does she do? She asks the vice president for a civics lesson.
No way. She asked Joe Biden to explain the U.S. government.
She did. And he totally took it in stride, gave her this whole mini lecture on the Constitution.
That's amazing. See, that's what I love about Audrey. She's not afraid to ask questions, even of the most powerful people.
And then it gets even better. Biden pulls out his phone and starts showing her pictures of his family, his wife, his grandkids, his house in Delaware, even his dog.
Oh, that's sweet. A proud grandpa moment.
Right. And then he turns the phone around and asks to see pictures of Audrey's family.
Oh, wow. That's a really special moment. It's like in that instant, the power dynamics just melted away, and they were just two people sharing their lives.
Exactly. And it obviously made a big impact on Audrey. She even said it was one of her most memorable moments in the White House.
I can see why. It's a good reminder that at the end of the day, we're all just human looking for connection, even vice presidents.
And that ability to connect with people, that's kind of Audrey's superpower, It's not just about the makeup, it's about the human interaction.
Yeah, I'm definitely picking up on that. So what's next for Audrey? Does she stick with the Biden camp, or does she go back to the Trumps?
Well, actually, her story takes us beyond the White House walls. She ends up working with this incredibly diverse group of people, CEOs, celebrities, even a crypto queen.
The crypto queen. Oh, that's a story I gotta hear.
Oh, believe me, it's a wild one. And it all speaks to Audrey's ability to connect with people from all walks of life.
It seems like she has a knack for finding herself in the most interesting situations.
She definitely does. But there's this one story that really stood out to me. It involves a high-ranking woman in the White House, someone with access to, the war room where all the big decisions are made.
Whoa, okay, this sounds intense.
It was. This woman, she was clearly stressed, exhausted. The situation in Syria was really heating up at the time.
Right. Things were pretty volatile back then.
And what's crazy is that this powerful woman, surrounded by advisors and experts, she turns to Audrey, a makeup artist, for advice.
Advice on what? Makeup for a war room meeting?
No, on what the president should say to the nation.
Wow, that's a lot of trust.
Right. And Audrey, she just takes it in stride, reads the statement, gives her opinion, and later that night she sees the president deliver a speech that incorporates some of her suggestions.
That's incredible. It really shows you the power of human connection.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just need someone to listen, to offer a different perspective regardless of their title or expertise.
And it's not just political figures. She tells this story about working with this high-powered lawyer who was going through a divorce and was, hesitant about pursuing a relationship with a younger man.
Ah, the classic dilemma.
Yeah.
Society can be so judgmental, especially when it comes to age and relationships.
And Audrey, she just encourages her to go for it, to embrace life, take risks, and guess what? The lawyer ends up having a baby with the younger man.
That's awesome. A happy ending. I love that Audrey encourages people to be themselves no matter what.
Me too. But then things take a turn. The lawyer's company collapses. She's caught up in a huge scandal.
Oh, wow. That's rough. It's a good reminder that even those who seem to have it all can face unexpected challenges. Life can be unpredictable like that.
Absolutely. But through it all, Audrey remains a constant source of support for her clients. She listens, she encourages, she helps them see themselves as more than just their titles or their circumstances.
It's that human connection, that empathy that really shines through in Audrey's story.
And I think it's something we can all learn from. So we've talked about presidents, prime ministers, lawyers, even a crypto queen. But there's one final chapter in Audrey's story that we need to explore, one that takes us across the globe.
No, you tell.
This time, her makeup skills land her a gig with Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel.
Netanyahu. Wow. Her client list just keeps getting more impressive.
Yeah.
So what was it like working with him?
Well, she said the experience was quite different from her time with the American presidents.
So,
The security surrounding Netanyahu was incredibly intense, like next level. She was basically locked in her hotel room for 3 days before the event.
locked in her room. That's a bit extreme.
Right. Multiple COVID tests, they searched her belongings, even checked her phone. She described the whole atmosphere as very cold.
That's a stark contrast to her experience with the Bidens and the Clintons.
Definitely. And she said Netanyahu himself was, quote, not very approachable.
Interesting. It makes you wonder if that's just his personality or if it comes with the territory of being, the Prime Minister of Israel.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But there was one detail she mentioned that I thought was really telling.
What's that?
When it came time to do his makeup, Netanyahu insisted that Audrey use his own personal products.
Huh. That's interesting. It's like he didn't trust anyone else to touch his face.
Right. Maybe it's a control thing. Or maybe he just has really sensitive skin.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But it definitely adds another layer to the story. So where does Audrey go from here? I mean, she's worked with presidents, prime ministers, celebrities. What else is there?
Well, it's funny you should ask that because as we wrap up our deep dive into Audrey Lef's incredible journey, there's one final aspect we need to touch upon.
Okay, I'm all ears. What is it?
The money?
The money. Ah, yes, of course. We've talked about the personal connections, the behind-the-scenes glimpses, but we haven't really delved into the financial side of things.
Exactly. And it turns out while doing makeup for presidents is a pretty prestigious gig, it's not as lucrative as you might think.
Really? I would have thought they'd be shelling out big bucks for someone like Audrey.
Well, according to Audrey, the real money is in working with millionaires and billionaires.
So that's where the real power lies, huh? Not in the political sphere, but in the world of extreme wealth.
It definitely seems that way, and it makes you wonder, what are these ultra-wealthy clients looking for from Audrey? Is it just about looking good, or is there something more to it?
It's a good question. Maybe it's about control, the ability to shape their image, project a certain persona, or maybe it's about the access, the connections that come with having someone like Audrey in their inner circle.
It's fascinating to think about, but beyond the money, beyond the glamour, there's a deeper motivation driving Audrey. She wants to share the human side of these larger-than-life figures.
Yes. That's been such a consistent theme throughout her story.
Yeah.
She's not just interested in making people look good. She wants to understand them, to connect with them on a deeper level.
Exactly. And by doing that, by sharing those moments of vulnerability, those behind-the-scenes glimpses, she challenges our perceptions of these powerful figures.
Right. It's a reminder that power and privilege don't erase our humanity. We're all just people with our own flaws and insecurities, even presidents and prime ministers.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the incredible world of Audrey Lef.
Wow, what a journey. It's been fascinating to explore the intersection of power, privilege, and humanity through her eyes.
Absolutely. So, as we leave you to ponder Audrey's extraordinary story, we have one final question for you. If you could ask Audrey one question about her experiences, what would it be? What insights has her story sparked in you? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
It's funny, right? We've talked about presidents and prime ministers and all these super powerful people.
Right.
But there's another side to Audrey's story that we haven't really touched on yet.
What's that?
The money.
Ah, yes, the financial side of things. It's easy to get caught up in the glamour and the intrigue. Right, exactly.
But at the end of the day, this is a job for Audrey.
Right.
And I imagine a pretty lucrative one at that. So spill the tea. What's the financial lowdown?
Okay, so brace yourself because this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm ready.
A presidential makeup session, you'd think that would be, top dollar, right?
Yeah, you'd think so, right? Access to the most powerful person in the world.
You'd think.
Got to be worth a pretty penny.
But it turns out it's not as much as you might imagine.
Really?
Yeah, according to Audrey, the real money, the big bucks are in working with millionaires and billionaires.
Interesting. So the real power players aren't in the political sphere. They're in the world of extreme wealth.
It seems that way, right?
Huh. It makes you wonder what these ultra-wealthy clients are looking for from Audrey. Is it just about looking good, or is there something more to it?
I think it's a bit of both, right? I mean, obviously they want to look their best.
Sure.
But I think it's also about the feeling of control, the ability to shape their image, to project a certain persona to the world.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're used to being in control of every aspect of their lives. Why should their appearance be any different?
And let's not forget the access and connections that come with having someone like Audrey in their inner circle.
Oh, absolutely. She's a gateway to a whole other world, a world of power and influence.
Right. But even with all that, even with the money and the glamour, there's a deeper motivation driving Audrey.
Hmm, I'm intrigued. What is it?
She's not just interested in making people look good, she wants to share their stories.
Their stories.
Yeah, she wants to show the world the human side of these larger-than-life figures.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like she's trying to bridge the gap between us and them, you know? To remind us that even the most powerful people in the world are still just people.
Exactly. And she's seen it all firsthand. She's seen the vulnerability, the anxiety, the moments of doubt that we rarely get to see.
And by sharing those moments, she's challenging our perceptions, encouraging us to see these figures in a new light.
Right. She's reminding us that power and privilege don't make you immune to human emotions, to the ups and downs of life.
It's a powerful message. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Audrey Lef's world, what's the biggest takeaway for you?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's the reminder that we're all more alike than we are different.
I like that. We all have our hopes and fears, our dreams and disappointments.
Exactly. And no matter how much power or money we have, those fundamental human experiences connect us all.
It's a beautiful thought.
Mm.
And Audrey's story really brings that to life.
Yeah.
It's been a privilege to explore her world with you.
Likewise, it's been a fascinating journey, and we hope it sparks some interesting thoughts for our listeners.
Yes. If you could ask Audrey one question about her experiences, what would it be? What insights has her story given you? Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.